Welcome everyone. It is day 4 of 5 days, 5 VRs. We are almost at the end. Today's video, we will be tackling the tag, Pacing the Tarot. And this is from Sorsha over at Sorsha Soaring. If you haven't already found her channel, please do check it out. I will leave a link in the description box below. I absolutely love her content, and I wanted to do a VR to this. She released this last summer, I think. Once again, like half a year late, but whatevs. But it's a flexible tag in which we are just focusing on 3 decks, ideally ones that we've had for a time and maybe haven't used as much as we want to, or haven't used in a long stretch of time. So we have, 3 different categories, and we will be exploring, why, and the whys and the how to troubleshoot is essentially what this this whole video will be about. So I will, of course, leave the prompts also in the description box below. Let us get started. So the first deck is the least used deck. And I wouldn't say this is my least used, but it is one of them. I mean, more so, yeah, in the past, like half year, I want to say, it's just not seeing much use, just more and more. And I've kind of touched on this in previous videos, so you might have a sense of my why once I show you what it is. And that is the Dream Vision Tarot. This is the first edition. And it's the reason that I am using it less and less, and it's become one of my least used, is because of the cardstock. And I don't know if it is just me. It seems like it's just me. Like when I see this on other people's channels, like they don't seem to have the same problem that I do with this deck. Do I want to zoom in a little bit? Let us zoom just a little bit. Okay. And that is that it is very stiff and difficult for me to shuffle, to the point where as you can see here, this is probably the worst card to show the damage. They crease, the cards crease. And I don't know what kind of cardstock this is. It doesn't feel like the most flexible. I don't know if it has a core. And I'm too lazy to go look at Lisa Pepez's awesome guide on cardstock. So if any of you know, please enlighten me. But yeah, I just, like, this happened only 3 days after I had the deck. And this was a gift, and it just, I have memories associated with it, and I just love this deck. I love the imagery. I love the colors. I love, just the kind of gentle and calm, nurturing vibe it gives me. But then that's kind of canceled out by the fact that it pisses me off, because like the cardstock is, like you can just, I don't know if you can see that, but like there are creases in several cards, and it just makes me want to use it less and less. And so I have been using it less and less, which makes me sad because this is such a great deck. Let me see if, like, yeah, they're just like little creases here and there. Some are worse than others, but there are enough of them in enough cards that it really bugs me, because I can see them. And so I'm trying to find some ones with some damage here. Like, see this one? Like right in the middle. I don't know if the camera's going to be able to pick that up. Trust me, there's a crease in the middle, and it's annoying. And that's all I can see when I pull these cards. It's like, that's like here, there's like a I don't know if you can see the creases like here, and there's, so that's been what's hindering me because, you know, these are beautiful images. And, you know, there was a certain point where I was using dice, like I was, but by this time, it's like, it just, the experience of the cardstock really kind of just put me off. See creases here. Yeah. So, you know, that is my why. And the next kind of part of the prompt is, you know, what is one thing that you can do to change that should you wish to? I don't know. Once again, if you have any suggestions, please do comment, because I mean, I know she has a second edition, although I don't know if it's still available for purchase. Like this is out of print, so and it's not like I would even want to repurchase because the cardstock's going to be the same, I would assume, from like first to second edition. So it doesn't make sense for me to like purchase another deck or try to find another deck. So I guess it's more about me trying to come to peace with the fact that, like, do you see that? Do you see that? Like, yeah. So like, and this is like one of my favorite Empress cards ever. And do you see those like little creases there? All right. Okay, time for me to stop bitching about it. I mean, I guess it's either just suck it up and continue to use it. I mean, and just try to alter my mindset, you know, and just appreciate the deck, imperfections and all, I suppose. Or just not use the deck. I don't know. Like I thought about, you know, I'm keeping the deck, and I thought, well, you know, if I'm not going to use it for tarot, I can use it for, you know, the Tenacious Tarot game. You know, it's just something fun to do, not necessarily to read with, but I do want to read with this deck. So anyway, the second prompt is an oldie but a goodie, or a deck that's had its 15 minutes, etc. And my choice for this prompt is the Shadowscapes Tarot. I have the Czech edition, which has been modified to take off the titles and the borders. And I mean, I think that this is still a pretty popular deck, so I wouldn't say it's had its 15 minutes. I don't see it as much as maybe I used to, or I don't know. I don't see it talked about nearly as much. And it could be, you know, the common complaint that the English language version anyway, you know, the cards are a little smaller, which means the details are just so difficult to make out. There's just so much there in so little space, and you just it's hard to kind of zoom in on all the little intricacies, and you just kind of want to, you know, but it's really hard to do. So maybe that could be why. I'm not sure. I don't think this deck is going anywhere. I do think that it still gets love, but I haven't used this deck in a while because I don't know why. It's definitely easier to use with the Czech version. I feel like just that little bit of card space, because these are a little bit bigger. I feel like it does make a difference, actually. And I almost feel like the more kind of glossy coat of the cardstock for the Czech edition does also help. So for me, the issue of it being just so jammed packed with details that I can't see is no longer a problem. I just, for whatever reason, don't pick it up. I mean, you know, I do have quite a number of decks, and so it just, I guess, gets lost in the shuffle. And you know, if I have a newer deck, then of course I'm gonna want to work with that, and so that one will take more priority. So I mean, in terms of the next part of that prompt, what is something that you can do about it if you want to? Well, I mean, I'm thinking really I just have to schedule this deck in. I think I don't know that I can rely on mood, which is what I've been doing a lot lately in terms of my deck selection, Again, if it's a new deck coming in that I haven't explored before, of course, I'm going to use that sooner than later. And then I'll just go by mood. And I think, one way to make sure that this gets some attention is that I need to schedule it. I need to, choose a week and just decide that that's going to be the week, at the very least, that I give this deck some time. Or, if there's some type of observance that I want to do a spread for, like an upcoming lunar observance, oh, maybe I'll do that. Yeah, maybe I'll do that for the next lunar observance. And the final prompt is a deck that makes you reassess. And I might be interpreting this one maybe a little differently, but my selection for this is the Marigold Tarot. And this was another lovely gift. And so I have the deck, and I also have the guidebook. And the reason I chose this deck and my why for why I haven't worked with it in a while is it's weird. It's a weird one. So first of all, I love this deck. I love it so much. It's beautiful. It has a very kind of, for me anyway, it has kind of a very neutral vibe to it, just like this neutral energy. And so, I mean, I really don't have any complaints about this deck. I mean, it's on linen cardstock. It is just such a delight to shuffle. So I don't have really any complaints about this deck, but I think what it is, okay, so this is a pip deck, right? And the guidebook, which I personally think it's a great guidebook, but it's one that I have liked using with this deck when I have used it, because I like how the creator, gives you these key symbols to hone in on as you're reading the description. And essentially, so that's, why I liked to look at the guidebook and just kind of, wanted to read all of the card descriptions to just get a better sense of the deck. And essentially, this is an RWS leaning guidebook. And I think that's maybe where I get a little bit caught up, or I get a little bit stuck. Not stuck in reading with the deck. I mean, I can read with the deck. I've read with the deck, but I think Oh my God, I'm gonna sound so bonkers, but like, okay, hear me out. So it's a pip deck, and I have used pip decks. I like to use pip decks in a more kind of numerological sense, you know, where you have a very kind of like neutral, you know, starting point, and depending on the context of the spread and etc., that's what's going to lean it, you know, one way or the other, right? Light or shadow. And so that's how I've always read or preferred to read pips. Now, this is just me. I am not saying that that is the only way to read pips. Clearly, this is based on RWS. And so there are meanings that clearly do lean one way versus the other. And so I think I just keep having this internal battle of like, because I have read the guidebook, and, you know, kind of studied it, so to speak, that when I pull this deck out, I do use it with that kind of RWS slant, but I don't want to. Like in my head, I'm saying to myself, no, this is a pip deck. You need to read it more numerologically. And no RWS. Like, it's dumb. It's so fucking dumb, but I don't know why my brain does that. Like, it just makes this arbitrary rule that for some reason I don't know. I feel like I'm just giving myself a hard time, really. There's nothing wrong with using this deck. However, I want to use it. And so, yeah, it's strange. Like when I have used it, it's almost kind of, it feels more natural in a sense for me to read it RWS, because that's essentially how the guidebook is. And that's what I was reading when starting to familiarize myself with this deck and exploring it. But then that other part of myself that is just ridiculous says that I shouldn't be doing that because it's a pip deck. So I should be reading it a certain way. Yeah, anyway. Okay, so then what is something you can do about that if you want to? I don't know. I guess just to tell that part of my brain to fuck off and stop compartmentalizing things in such an odd way. I don't know. Because there is no right or wrong. Like, I know this. There is no right or wrong. And it's not just with this deck. I want to say maybe, Antique Anatomy. Maybe that's... because that's another one I kind of struggle with. And the guidebook is the same way as this one, where it's like the meanings are RWS. And it's a pip deck. And so, okay, that's a whole nother deck, perhaps a whole nother video. But yeah, I guess I just need to just get over myself. And that concludes day 4 of 5 days, 5 VRs. I hope you enjoyed, and I hope to see you back tomorrow for the finale. Until then, much love and take care.